Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another session. I am so excited, what is ending up being an impromptu interview with Sandra Joe. And this woman is going to help you break down all the walls surrounding what actually works when it comes to manifesting money and just having ultimately a better relationship with it, which gives you the ability to attract more. So, Sandra, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Riley. I'm glad we finally connected. We've been in each other's networks for like a year now, and we're finally getting around to this.
Yeah. And as we were talking before this, I was thinking like, I'm pretty sure we've had it scheduled to do a podcast interview and we've had to like move things around. And now it just literally worked out and it's so perfect.
All the stars were aligned today for sure.
Absolutely. So I would love for you to just start off with introducing you and the work that you do in this world.
Yeah, thank you so much. Basically, my history is I was a former financial planner. I was working in corporate finance, for about 7 years in Melbourne, Australia. Then the pandemic hit and I moved home to Canada. So I live in Vancouver, Canada now. And I come from a family of financial planners. My mom is a financial planner. My brother is as well. And we really found that, as with my mom having 35 years experience, we found that there was a big gap in the market of the age group of sort of 33 to 47-year-olds. And it's the people who are in the family planning years of their life, the building new businesses, getting married, buying their first family home. And there's no one in their corner to help them make sound financial decisions to get them to a point where they have enough wealth to need a financial planner, which is like the later stages, right? So I started working with younger couples in my practice in Australia. And I realized that what was more important to them than the investment advice was the relationship with money, the coaching and understanding, improving their financial literacy, how to make better money decisions so that they could get to the life of their dreams and build it and have a roadmap to get there. So that's how my business was created. That's the concept behind it. My business is called Make That Money Honey. So I also have my own podcast called Make That Money Honey Podcast. That's my Instagram as well. So make that money.honey, which is HUNNI. And yeah, so now I run a completely global online business coaching young professionals about how to have better control of their money, better relationship with money, have a better marriage, and all of those types of things.
I love that. And what you do is so wildly important because even coming from someone who just grew up without any sort of financial wealth, like my parents, we had a comfortable life. We always got to do the activities and we had the food on the table and all those kinds of things. But my parents always had that mentality and belief like you deal with it yourself, you work really hard, and you'll make wealth eventually, maybe, or the poor get poor and the rich get richer. And it just kind of like is left up to luck. And so I grew up with that. And then coming into also owning and running a business, it was like, what do I do? Like, there's way more to this than just like you make a sale, you get money, and you put some money aside from taxes, then you eventually pay taxes. It's like, where and how are people finding the information to actually be able to grow their ability? Because then we get into business and we hear scaling and growth and multiple million and 100 of million and all these $1 billion months. And it's like, how are people actually getting there? And it's not from sitting on a floor with your eyes closed, sitting in a pool of money in your mind. Um, and I learned that very, very quickly when it was kind of the first thing that's presented to people when they want to have a better financial experience is to meditate on it and to call more in and to attract it. And so I'd love to hear your perspective of how you, I'm sure you hear that all the time, but then you go and you say, actually, let's go in this direction because it's going to help you. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as you said, like we can, and I know that a lot of what you do in your audience is about the law of attraction and inviting that money into your life and the belief that you need to have around how much you're worth, your pricing and all of that and the abundance. There's also the technical side of finance, right? And the financial technical side is about really understanding your business and your numbers. As you said, we don't just earn money, pay taxes, and see
Yes.
what's left, right? Like that's not how life works. However, that's how life works for a lot of people. And some people don't even put money aside for taxes. They dread tax season. They don't put anything aside, and then they're whacked with a big tax bill. That's a whole other story. But as business owners and as individuals, whether you work in corporate and you have a full-time salary job, or whether you are just starting out in your first business or well and truly into your third, fourth, fifth year of business, the concept is the same. You need to understand your numbers. And what I mean by that is there's a difference between income and profit, right? People see money hit the bank. And let's say, for example, they have a $10,000 month in their business and they're like, yay, I have a $10,000 month. I'm going to go blow it on new marketing, an assistant, a social media campaign, a blah, 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 a blah, blah, blah. And before they know it, that 10 grand is gone. Right. And then the next month, there's crickets. They might hit 1,500 or 2,000. And then the next month, they might hit 3,000. And so as new entrepreneurs and as business owners, one of the most important things that you can learn to do is manage fluctuating income months and prepare for fluctuating income months, because we can manifest all the money that we want to come into our life. But if we don't actually know how to manage the money that is hitting our bank account, then we're never going to get ahead. So there's a couple of really simple strategies that I can give to your listeners that they can take away from this and be like, oh, I can implement this right away. So if you are listening, now's your chance to get a pen and paper, get your notes out on your phone, and take away these couple little things. So number one is always have an emergency cash buffer account with at least 3 months of your living expenses. Yeah. Okay. Because as we know, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we have a summer slowdown, sometimes we have a cold winter, and there's all these different seasons within our business that our income can vary greatly, and we never want to put ourselves at risk of not being able to pay our living expenses and provide for our family if that's what we need to do. So number one, emergency cash buffer, minimum 3 months of your living expenses set aside that you don't use. It's called emergency for a reason. The next is when you get money coming in from your business, making sure that you allocate every dollar of that income to a different place. So you can use the law of percentages, for example, and I'll tell you how to do a very easy calculation. So if you want to do, people go, oh, percentages, they confuse me. So again, let's use that $10,000 example. And we say, okay, we want to go 30% is going to be set aside for tax. So we go in a calculator, we go 10,000 times 0.3. And that's how much money you put away in your tax account. Then you say, I want to put 20% aside for investing back into my business, let's say into marketing and social media. So you go 10,000 times 0.2. That's going to give you the amount for your social media and marketing. Then you have, call it 30% for your actual products and services. Now, if you're a service-based industry, this might include your course platforms, your videographer, your admin assistant, things like that. So every dollar that comes into your account from your business is being allocated based on a percentage to a certain area of your business. And that may even include paying yourself, right? Yeah. So 10% paying yourself, and the other 90% is going to different functions within your business. You'll quickly see that 10 grand is gone quickly, but at least you've given it direction. You've told it where to go, as opposed to just blindly paying for things without a plan. And that's how we get ourselves into trouble.
I can definitely, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can definitely attest to that, because even like last year, I had some of or even beginning of this year, I had some of the biggest months that I ever had. And me and my husband looked at each other like, what? It's like we won the lottery. And
Totally.
we had maybe 50 to 60% of it allocated to things that bills and debt repayment and stuff like that. But then the rest of it was like a free for all, 40 to 50%. And what happens
Mhm.
is exactly what you said is the next month you can't necessarily count on that same amount or more coming in. And what happens is then you drive yourself into positions where it's like, oh, wait, I probably shouldn't have done that. However, if you don't
Mhm.
actually change the habit, you're going to consistently run into that same problem over and over again.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. And it's so easy to get into this free for all mentality whenever we have a big bonus come into our business and we're like, holy crap, we just hit our first 25K month. This is amazing. I'm going to go spend it here, 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 here. Right. And then you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Your hands start to get sweaty and you look at your next month income and it's only 3 or 4,000. And you go, oh crap, how are we going to meet our debt repayments? How are we going to pay for our mortgage? How are we going to put food on the table? How are we going to do this, this, this? So being really diligent about not getting excited when you do have those big months. Obviously, you want to celebrate and you want to, get excited, but looking at your business as a 12-month calendar rather than a month by month calendar. So, for example, if you know that you want to invest in coaching and masterminds, set yourself a limit for the year. And I learned from Chris Harder, who is an amazing business coach, to
Yeah.
only allocate 10% or less of your business income to coaching and masterminds. Because what happens is when we're at the beginning of our career, we want to invest all this money because we think it's going to generate so much money for us that we end up spending so much on coaching and masterminds and all this stuff. But it's the action that we take that is going to make us money. It's the doing the boring work, the grit, showing up in our business, making the reels, making the posts, updating our website, doing reach outs in our stories and in the DMs and all that stuff. That's going to make you money. Those are your income producing activities. Coaching and masterminds, we get sucked into this trap of spending so much money on learning that we're not doing. So when we get a 25K month, we're like, great, now I'm going to spend $5,000 on this coaching program that's going to sell all my sale, boost my sales and blah, blah, blah. That's all fair and well. But if your limit for the year is $10,000 in coaching, stick to that $10,000 in coaching and reinvest the rest of that money into other areas of your business. And other areas of your business might be a cash bank account to accommodate for fluctuating months of income. So
Yes.
you've got that buffer. So you're like, okay, I had a 25K month, $5,000 is going to coaching, and that's 50% of my coaching budget for the whole year. So that you're not doing a new coaching program every single month that's $5,000 just because you're starting to make more money, right? Limit yourself on what you're spending money on. You need to have a plan in place for your business in the first, well, for every year of your business, but particularly in the first 2 years. Otherwise, you will get excited, you will blow all your earnings, and then you will be wondering why your business is not growing because you haven't reinvested the money back into things like paying yourself, reinvesting into marketing so that you can expand and grow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I really love this because not only is it just there's so much truth to it in terms of business growth, but you can equally take this and apply it to individual use as well. Where if you're not necessarily running a business and you're listening to this because you want that ability to have a better experience with your money personally, the same concept still applies. So instead of it being that 10% for your business, it's that 10% for your extras. That could be your vacation fund. That could be the boat or the quad that you really want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could be the overindulging shopping trips that you want. And it's so important to understand this because, like I said, growing up, it was just you work for your money, you get what you get, and you basically pray and hope for the best. And running a business actually taught me that that's not how it works at all. And that concept of money doesn't even exist anymore because within that, there's this framework of, we'll just save, like save some money, just put a little bit aside and it'll grow. And that's essentially become your emergency fund. But even within that, then you come to find, oh, here's a repair on our car. And it's great you had that emergency fund, but it's wiped away. And you only did it in the months where you had a little bit more coming in. It wasn't a disciplinary action. And what for me, and I'd love to hear your take on this, what really started to just bug the shit out of me when it came to the energy world with money was there was so much misleading information about how money is just energy and we all just get to experience abundance and it comes in the form of random who knows where and when, just trust that it'll be there. But for a lot of people who also don't have a sense of discipline or understand their finances, they don't know that they have 15 subscriptions coming out every month that cost them over $60 and they're just reoccurring, or they don't realize how much they're actually paying as a penalty and interest rates on their credit cards because they're just racking them up and they're not necessarily paying anything but the minimum payments off. And then in so many other examples that sitting and meditating on money isn't actually going to bring you more. And even if it did, you're still going to run into the same problems because you're not actually looking at where you are right now. And that's not going to help you to get out of where you are just because you bring more in.
Oh, I love what you said there. And we can start generating all the money in the world. We can start sharing it on social media. I just had a $50,000 month. I just had a $20,000 month. I'm so sick of coaches saying this because how much money your business brings in versus how much you spend are two totally different things. And that's why I say there's the income versus profit discussion. Profit is what you actually keep. People could be getting $50,000 months, but they could be spending $40,000 on Facebook ads. You know what I mean? So really they're only profiting $10,000, and that's assuming they're not spending any money on anything else, right? So don't get wrapped up in this comparison loop of, oh my God, this person's business made this much, or I had this massive income month. It's not about the dollars that come in. It's about what you do with them.
Yeah.
And the only way that you're ever going to get ahead financially is by having a plan and telling every single dollar where it needs to go. So if you're looking at 100 cents in $1, how many cents are going into your emergency cash buffer? How many cents are going into your personal bank account so you can pay for your living expenses with your family? How many cents are going into your marketing budget, into your assistant, into all of your subscriptions and platforms? And before you know it, those 100 cents are quickly gone. But if you don't tell those 100 cents where to go, they're going to go even faster. And then month after month, year after year, you're going to be wondering, why is my business income growing, but my personal wealth is staying the same?
Yeah.
And this is the really big catch that a lot of people don't understand. You can be bringing in $250,000, $500,000 a year, but if you don't know how to manage where that money is going, you are never going to generate actual wealth.
Yeah.
And wealth creation is a slow and steady process. There's no such thing as get rich quick. We can see that with Bitcoin. We can see that with all these crypto people that just absolutely took a beating in the last couple of months, because sure, you can get rich quick, but the things that can make you rich fast can make you broke twice as fast.
Yeah.
Because if everyone's doing it, what do you think is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So when we look at building actual wealth, legacy wealth, as you said, you guys had a comfortable upbringing, but you're now about to bring your third child, fourth for your family, into the world. How do we create legacy wealth that can be passed on to give your children opportunities that maybe you never had, help them start their own businesses, help them buy their first home or go to university or whatever it is that is important to you and your family? By doing that, it's spending less than you earn. And it's literally the easiest equation: spending less than you earn and investing the rest. And investing the rest can be in a multitude of different ways. Diversification is the key here. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And really understanding this concept of little and often is more important than big and once in a while. So if you can only afford to put $100 a month aside, that $100 compounded over the course of the next 45 years of your life is going to have a bigger impact than if you're like, oh, I'm just going to wait until I have $2,000 at the end of the year and then start investing. So it's the monthly habits, the weekly habits, the understanding how much money is coming in, spending less than that, and investing the rest. That's going to actually build you wealth over the long term.
Yeah. I love everything that you're saying so much because it's even when I was like, okay, I started to realize that this whole make money, spend money, and save money wasn't really how it works. I turned to books, and Rich Dad Poor Dad series has been such a great one for me because it helps you to actually increase your intellectual understanding of money versus necessarily just some of his books are more step by step in terms of just raising your cash flow. But just understanding that exactly what you're saying right now is the only way to actually get more money in your life. And it really comes
Mhm.
down to that habit and that discipline. And I think what's so misleading for a lot of people is that they turn to, well, I want to have a better relationship with my money and I want to make more money, even jumping into MLM containers. If you're a mom at home and you're like, hey, I want to have something that I can do and a product that I love and share that, the same thing applies. There's a bunch of people at the top saying how much they're making, but they're not telling you how much they're spending. And so it looks
Mhm.
like a great number and you get hooked on this whole dream life vacation, but it's like those dream life vacations are a part of their expenses. It's a part of their marketing plan to get you to enroll under their team. And so and then the business models come in with that too. So it's like really understanding that if you're going into something for a business purpose, for a side hustle, to even a raise in the work that you do now, go in it because you want to be more disciplined with your money. Don't go in it because that number looks really flashy, because this is one of the things that I've always like, I didn't understand it at first until I started understanding or intellectuals around money, but it's like over 80% of the people who win the lottery end up broker than when they won it in the first place. And the
That's the
reason
best
is
stat.
exactly because of what you're talking about. They get this big number drop into their account and then game on. I want the
They go
theme
nuts.
park in my
Exactly.
backyard. I want the mansion. I want the Jordan shoe collection. And then they get to this point where they're like, wait, I didn't do anything with it. And personally for us, my husband ended up getting an insurance policy payout when he went through all his heart surgery stuff. And we literally did the same thing. We took 15,000 of it and we invested it into a portfolio. And then we basically just went like, ooh, what can we buy with the rest of it? Not planning for those additional months or the unexpected then news that he needed more surgeries. So what we
Mhm.
assumed would be this like one-time surgery, one-time payout, it'd be this great thing. He ended up having to go on another year, almost another full 2 years, which included 3 more surgeries. So because we never planned for having the money up front to be like, hey, we can put 6 months ahead and this amount in a portfolio. And we can start, we can get some things that we love because there's nothing wrong with that, but not just going out to every store every day or doubling up on Starbucks. Oh man, we were so hilarious. Like we were literally that typical couple who gets a chunk of money dropped in their account and it's like, game on. How fast can we spend this? We were double
Yeah.
fist in Starbucks almost every day. And it's like, I look back at that and I don't regret it because it was fun and it was a great example of why to never do it again. But I look back on that and I'm like, oh, that's how people get themselves into problems with money.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable with that story, because that's not an easy thing to admit. And obviously you can laugh about it now because you are, you looking back, you're like, wow, we learned so much from going through that experience. But exactly right. Whether it's an inheritance, whether it's winning the lottery, whether it's selling your home that you paid nothing for, and then all of a sudden you sold it for 4 times the original price, and now you've got this huge chunk of money. Whatever it is, if you come into a large sum of money, it's so easy to just blow it. So, what I suggest is like allow yourself 10% of whatever that number is. So, take the number times it by zero point 0.1 and have fun with that 10% and be like, this is our fun money. The other 90%, we're going to tell it where to go.
Yeah.
And if you invest that 90%, you could literally have a recurring income stream of 5, 10, 20, 30, $50,000 a year that you can continuously have on an ongoing basis if you do the right thing with it and get it into something that is going to make you money. And this is how the rich get richer. Their money makes money. So
Yes.
whether it's investment properties, whether it's the stock market, whether it's businesses, they own assets that are income producing assets. If your money is not making money for you, that's how you will be a slave to work for the rest of your life. So the number one easiest win is paying off your credit card in full every month. If you have no idea how many people I meet who have $10 or $15,000 sitting in cash in their bank account, and they have a $7,000 credit card balance, and they're paying 20% interest on their credit card balance because they don't want to use their cash to pay it off because they might need it in a rainy day. But instead of it, they're paying 20% interest on a credit card. This to me, and pardon my French, no judgment here, but this is the stupidest financial decision you could ever make. Ever make. If you've got cash to pay off your credit card and you've got cash earning 0. nothing percent in your bank account, and you've got a credit card balance charging you 19 to 25% interest, pay that shit off. Get rid of it and start making better decisions, whether you have to reduce your credit limit so you're not tempted to rack it back up or whatever. That's the quickest win that you can have with your finances. Pay off your debts, close the account if you've got more than one. Nobody needs more than one credit card. If you've got one credit card that you use for accumulating points and travel and checking into hotels, they always take that pre-auth thing. Keep one credit card and pay it off in full every month. There's no reason you need an Amex, a MasterCard, 3 visas, one for this, one for that. It will destroy your life.
Yeah.
It will destroy your life. Live within your means. Quickest way to get ahead.
Yeah. I love this conversation so much. And I really hope that those who are listening gain a lot of value out of this, even just in some ways that they can start today with sitting down and
Mhm.
looking at their overall finances. One thing that I always suggest to my clients is start with literally your bank account and your credit card statements and see what you're paying for. Because there's so many little things like, oh, I have Netflix and Amazon Prime and Crave TV and like $60, $70 worth of TV subscriptions.
Totally.
And it's like, for what? An hour or 2 a
Mhm.
night, maybe? Like, couldn't you just have one?
Totally.
And then again, comes down to living within your means. So looking at
Mhm.
these things, closing out the things that you don't need, and then taking everything that Sandra's saying, and it's like, start directing your money where it needs to go. And that alone is going to bring you so much more peace of mind, because not only do you know where your money's going and where it's coming from, but now when you go to sit down in those meditations to call in the more abundance and swim in the pool of cash, it's actually tangible for you to feel like that because you feel more in
Mhm.
control of what you already have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the word control of what you have, because you can manifest all the money in the world, but like we've said before, if you don't know what to do with it, you're going to be constantly feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, because you're constantly going to be having to manifest more, manifest more, manifest more, because you're not actually creating anything. You're not building that wealth. You're not getting on top of your credit card payments. So, like, for every $100 that you pay off on your credit card, that's like paying off the equivalent of $120 because of 20% interest. So, get excited about that. How do you want to make your money work for you? If you're in debt, you're paying it off faster, and get excited about that feeling of like, I'm getting closer to being debt free. I'm getting closer to removing the credit card shackles from my ankles that are holding me back in my abundance mentality. It's impossible to have an abundance mentality when you have thousands of dollars of personal debt that has accumulated in your car loans, credit cards, personal bank accounts, whatever. I'm excluding mortgages because mortgages is a different thing. But personal debt, it's very hard to act in an abundant mindset and mentality when you know that your true self is bad with money and not making sound financial decisions. So the quicker that you can get a handle on this, and even if it's just putting the practice into place so that you feel more responsible, the quicker you're going to invite more abundance into your life, because all of a sudden the world is going to feel that your energy is like, hey, I got this. I got this. I got this under control. I know I have a plan, And, this is what I work with my private clients and my coaching with entrepreneurs, especially. I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, is they've never been taught about money. They've never been the primary financial controller in their household. And all of a sudden, money starts coming into them and they're like, oh shit, now what? Right. So this is where the work starts.
I love that. Well, Sandra, it's been so wonderful having this conversation with you. And I'd love for you to just let everyone know where they can find you. I know you talked about it in the beginning, but just resharing that and what you have going on at this time so people can jump into your experience and get a better handle on their money.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Instagram is my biggest platform. So, I have two accounts. I've got my business account, which is at makethatmoney.honey. My personal account, which I'm a little more active on, is at sandra.m.joe. And you can check out my website. My website is in the process of an overhaul at the moment, which, it's August right now when we're recording. But it's sandrajoe.com. All of the information about my courses, how to get in touch with me, booking a consultation call, getting on my email list, it's all on my website. So sandrajoe.com/links. I do have a sex and money course coming up. So this is going to be for couples, individuals, anybody that want to improve their relationship with money and also within their marriage and the correlation between sex and intimacy and having financial security. So that is going to be going live in October 2022. I will make a promo code for any of your listeners for 10% off if they use the code Rylee, and they can get access and get all the juicy details.
I love it. And we didn't have a chance to get into it, but if you're in a marriage and you're struggling with connection with your husband, your partner, this course is definitely going to be for you because one of the main number one burdens that couples carry is their financial stress. And when you have that, it directly affects your intimacy. So definitely go and be a
Yes.
part of Sandra's world and check everything out. I'll, of course, have all her links and all the details in the show notes for you guys. And Sandra, it was just once again so wonderful connecting with you today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and we'll speak to you soon.